Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Krendor, and welcome back to Krendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Today we're talking about Age of Sigmar 4th edition, primarily what's happening with the Battletomes, because I was on Reddit recently. I know, not a great idea, but somebody was posting about the Flesh Eater Court's Battletome coming out pretty soon, and they're saying, you know, this is kind of towards 4th edition, right? Because obviously every couple of years, I think it's every 2 years, there's a new edition. So 4th edition would be sometime in the summer. And they're like, wouldn't this mean that we only get, you know, like 6-7 months of a Battletome whenever it comes out? And some people were going back and forth talking about that. And some people are like, well, if we get like a Warhammer 40k 10th edition thing where we get all these index cards and it's only going to be a little bit and everybody gets into whatever. But I'm here to talk about why I don't think that's going to happen, what I think is going to happen, and really, that's it. So my big thing here is this reminds me of the Soulblight Gravelords, right? Soulblight, when they came out at the end of 2nd edition, it was essentially a 2.5 Battletome. And I remember a lot of people got that Battletome and they're like, this is kind of weird. Like, it doesn't feel like the previous Battletomes. You know, it's got some things that are kind of bad in it, but what they didn't realize at the time was like, oh, they removed all the rerolls. Well, yeah, they were doing that for pretty much everybody, right? So I think what happens is a lot of the Battletomes start dictating how the new edition is going to be. And I think that might be the case when we're going this time around. But I think in this scenario, we've actually been seeing what 4th edition is going to be already. So if you look at the start of 3rd edition, it was like Orcs and Nurgle and Stormcast and Deepkin and Fire Slayers, like a lot of those. And then once you got to the second half of the Battletomes, you had Beast of Chaos and Gits and Seraphon and all these, and you could start to see what they want from a Battletome. And I think even in the last couple Battletomes, they've looked like that. And it's very heavy, I think, on customizing the core abilities. So what I mean by that is custom monstrous actions, custom commands, like these types of things, or custom heroic actions, right? Not commands, but they do have custom commands. And I think that's going to be the angle they really take. I think they enjoy where Age of Sigmar's at. I think with 40k, they did not like where it was at. I also didn't like where 40k was at. It was just rules bloat. There was so much stuff. And if anything, 40k tried to become more like Sigmar, right? And that's the reason they did the index cards and all this stuff. They were simplifying everything down. They were trying to cut down on the bloat. But Sigmar doesn't really need to do that. Sigmar already is that. And I think it still does it better. You know, 40k, I enjoy playing it more now than I did, but I still enjoy Sigmar the most. Like, Sigmar to me is the most fun I have playing Warhammer on tabletop. Like, I love playing Age of Sigmar. And so I've really enjoyed what they've done with the game. And it seems like with a lot of the books like Beast of Chaos, they started getting custom monstrous actions. With the Gits, they started getting custom monstrous actions and heroic actions. With, like I mentioned, Seraphon, like they all have custom monstrous actions and heroic actions. And so even Teleport became a heroic action, right? And so I think that's going to be the route we start going down. I think they're probably with 4th edition going to start remaking some books, or they might even start remaking some of the books before 4th edition hits, honestly. Like, I would say in the spring, they might start doing this where, you know, Orcs, like, people are really needed. I think, like, Orcs start getting a new Battletome. You could maybe see Stormcast, like a lot of the really early ones that happened in 3rd edition, getting new Battletomes that kind of align with what I'm talking about, right? Like more, you know, monstrous and heroic actions and streamlined stuff. Because if you go back and look at some of those Battletomes, they're not great when they first started coming out. And you could see they really enjoyed the route they were taking. The more these tomes came out, and you saw what they really enjoyed doing, and to the point where a lot of them started feeling broken, right? Like, wow, you have like, because you had the choice of your own custom monstrous actions or just the standard ones, right? While if you're, say, Orcs and you have your Maw Crusher, you don't have a custom Maw Crusher monstrous action. You just have the normal ones, right? And so now that everybody's getting them, everybody's like, yo, I want some of those, you know? And I think it'd be even cool if they start adding more in. Or playing around with that. So I don't think we're really going to change that much in terms of going into 4th edition. And I think if I had to guess, I would say we're just going to get more of the same that we've been getting in these previous Battletomes, right? So I think the things they will fix in 4th edition will be minor. I think it's going to be things like scenery rules could probably use some updating. I like scenery rules are just, I would love if they were just simplified, right? I think right now there's like, they got like mystical terrain and arcane terrain and this terrain. It's like, just give me some more simplification. I think because the scenery rules become so complex and annoying to deal with that it's just people just don't play with them. If it was much more simple, I think people wouldn't mind using it. Just make it better. Just there's so many ways you could make it better that just something, right? Like I wouldn't even care if it's like, oh, you get like maybe pick one scenery piece on the board and that scenery piece is like a special scenery piece. Whenever you're within like 12 of it, you get +1 to cast or +1 to hit. Maybe you roll something, right? You're like, oh, this is the cool scenery piece of the day of the game, and you roll and see what happens. Maybe it's +1 to hit, +1 to wound, but +1 to cast. Maybe it's -1 to something, right? Like just something where a scenery piece is impacting it. And like I said, maybe it's just one scenery piece, you know? So it's just easy to get. But I don't know what, or you could do that for a few scenery. I don't know. They're just something, right? I think they're going to do that. I think they're also, I do think the 4th edition is going to be Skaven. It makes the most sense. I feel like they're going down the same Seraphon line that they've been going down, where they release like Underworld warbands and all this stuff with new models. And you're like, wow, why can't they redo actual Seraphon like that? And then after a year, they're like, here they are, right? It feels like they've done that same thing with Skaven. Like, oh, here's this cool, warband with like a plague priest and plague monks and stuff, and here's this cool warband or underworld thing with gutter runners and thing. You're like, wow, these models are really cool. I wish they did it for the actual Skaven. And it's like, well, they're going to. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I do think Skaven's going to be it, because their book felt very 2.5 as well. Like it almost felt more 2.0 than 3.0, kind of like Soulblight. So it feels like they would be another one to get their book redone right away. And it seems like in a launch edition where you're going to be redoing a bunch of models and selling a big box that you want to sell, which would have a popular faction in it, most likely, right? They would go Skaven. So that's why I do think it's going to be Skaven. But that's kind of besides the point of what I'm talking about. I'm sure they'll add in, I think they're going to go with more heroic actions. I think they'll probably mix up the heroic actions, do some different ones, because everybody generally just does like get a command point for the first turn and a lot of turns. They might mix that up. They might do better monstrous actions. They probably nerf Roar, because Roar is insanely overpowered. Everybody just wants to roar something, so you can't command point. I think they're going to tweak things, but I think at the end of the day, they like where Sigmar's at, and they're just going to, play around with it and keep going with how they've been doing the Battletomes. That's what I think is going to happen. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya.